Freshmen.
What'd you eat for breakfast? Kitty litter?
Next on Nickelodeon.
The Twilight Zone gets redeveloped. Will not be seen at this time in order that we may present the following unnatural program.
High school. Possibly one of the least interesting topics we could cover. Long before Ned's declassified school survival guide, us late 80s, early 90s kids had a different program. However, this is not about high school, but rather a group of high school students. Freshman high school students and the trials, fears, and experiences of starting high school. Originally produced as a sketch comedy show and ending as a straightforward sitcom, today's topic holds a special spot in a ton of hearts. It was goofy, odd, strange, outlandish, fast-paced, weird as hell, and more often than not extremely exaggerated, nonsensical, and risque. And that's why fans like me loved it. After all, we could easily identify with at least one of the characters. Even with the bad acting, it had a sense of realism and managed to teach lessons in its own way. And speaking of bad acting... Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Macabre Labs presents School of Boredom, a showcase of things likely forgotten, Nickelodeon edition. My name is Bats, and I'll be your guide today as we enroll for lesson N112. Welcome freshmen. High school's rules. Just a quick heads up, there's only one Nickelodeon lesson left after this, and then we're going to end Season 1. And trust me when I say I'm hoping to end this season with a rather amazing finale. But don't worry, because Nickelodeon will be returning for Season 2 later down the line. On February 16th, 1991, a man named Robert Mittenthal would create a program for Nickelodeon that would run for 4 seasons and a total of 52 episodes, each dealing with the common tropes of growing up and starting high school for the first time. And this iconic show would run until February 19th, 1994, with reruns running until October of 1996, where it would remain lost until a few airings on the Splat in the mid-2000s. I apologize for the shoddy B-roll in this one, but finding quality episodes of this show has proven to be quite difficult. Originally planned as a sitcom sketch comedy show hybrid, Season 1 and 2 were set up more like a series of short segments with the kids interacting, as where in Seasons 3 and 4 it was much more of a direct sitcom style show and did away with the sketch segments. Seasons 1 and 2 had episodes with titles that were more lesson-esque, with titles such as Express Yourself. This was an episode about expressing yourself and discovering more about the inner you, a typical trope of growing and discovering who you are meant to be. This episode also reveals a lot about the characters and their characteristics.
Why, yes, you've managed to transport something very real into a totally fantastical universe. That's very expressive.
Money. This episode centered on the kids learning about money and finances, as well as financial responsibility and the various needs for monetary gain, with one of the characters even pretending to be rich in order to impress a girl.
Really? I swear, I'm not rich. Honest, come on. Don't lie about your wealth, Mervyn. It's pathetic.
Getting even. This episode handled the trope of revenge and payback, along with practical joking and the results of doing so. Hijinks surely ensue.
Oh, Angela, the sight of you makes my heart stop. If you were a zit, it'd be the one I never pop.
Conformity. This one dealt with the trope of, well, conformity. Basically, it discussed following the arbitrary rules imposed by the masses, such as dress alike, act alike, and stay in line. In short, do what you're told.
Get rid of this stuffy suit. In fact, I'm ordering you to dress like them. To dress like them?
Doesn't matter. Conformity sucks on any level. Dating. Do I really need to explain dating? Okay, for those of you that are not as old as me, dating is what people, especially teens and younger adults, used to do before Tinder. They would actually meet up in person and go see a movie and or go eat a meal together while getting to know each other and talking face to face with real, actual conversation.
What's going on here?
I don't know, but I have a feeling we're dining at Chez Terra.
Choices. This episode took focus on making difficult decisions. There really isn't a whole lot else to say.
But one day, I got this sand in my crack, like right here. Way low. Right where you walk and stuff.
Communication. This episode took focus on Lipman misunderstanding the group through a series of comical mishaps. I'm not going to explain the entire plot here, but trust me when I say it's comedy gold.
Hello, Dana. I've got Tara for you. Please hold. Hello, Brett. Hi. Sorry about that. I keep getting interrupted.
And secrets. Again, I feel like this is one of those episodes I do not really need to explain. Basically, it is about the group exposing each other's secrets.
Wait, you guys. We're wasting a perfect opportunity here. What do you mean, Alex? Look, just follow my lead, and we'll teach these clowns a lesson they'll never forget.
During seasons 3 and 4, we would get several changes to the show, including a few new cast members with Aaron, Grant, and Manny. And as I said, this is where the show went for more of a sitcom style, with episodes like Things Change. The season 3 premiere would see Merv and Tara leaving the show, with Alex and Kevin going on to the 10th grade while Walter would be held back. Merv would end up leaving the high school early in order to attend college, while Tara would also leave the show due to her and her family going to live in a biosphere.
Well, it's really fierce, with big fangs and a killer grip like a gorilla. The bald barbarian, they call it.
Shiny Top. This episode is pretty damn funny, as it features Lipman being detained for some parking tickets after trying to bribe the fire department, only to be mistaken for a criminal named Shiny Top while appearing in court before a judge. He is quickly arrested, and again, hijinks ensue.
Hey, guys, look who it is.
Mr. Litton. Who?
Hawthorne Confidential. Once again set in a typical sitcom style, this one shows Alex gathering gossip from other kids at the school as a class presentation. And of course, this stirs up drama.
Sorry, Aaron. It's just not worth destroying my reputation.
We've all seen this trope before. Drawn and quoted. In this episode, Walter becomes a cartoonist for the school paper and uses it to parody his friends, and this, of course, stirs up trouble.
Yeah, everybody? Alex didn't think so. Oh, you can't even draw a stupid comic without ruining someone's life.
I can think of several other sitcoms that have done this exact same thing, including Hey Dude.
Instead of coming up with new insults all the time for your comic strip, why don't you think about the time I sat up all night with you when you were sick, or Melody listening to all your problems, and Jake and Buddy and Mr. Ernst.
I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
And finally, Year's End, the series finale. This episode featured the group deciding what they are going to do during their school break, and given that they are no longer freshmen, they could no longer be welcome freshmen. So the show would inevitably end after this episode.
Ah, so you've reconsidered my offer.
What offer?
The one where you lend me money and I pay you back later.
I don't know how I could have passed it up the first time.
Personally, I preferred the replacement and the original cast, but let me know if you preferred one over the other down in the comments section below. And speaking of the cast, the original cast was comprised of Merv, played by David Roden. Merv was kind of a nerdy, geeky, dweeby, yet somehow awesome character that was a lot of fun to watch on screen.
Yes, banned from Hawthorne High. How? Why? Who? Granted, it's a very disturbing piece of footage.
Alex, played by Jocelyn Steiner. Alex was your stereotypical, uppity, kind of higher class high school student. She was often seen as very selfish and looking out for herself, only to learn lessons in the end.
Great stuff, huh? I wonder what it'll be like to win the Pulitzer at 15.
Kevin, played by Chris Loban. Kevin was kind of a fun character, although you could almost tell that by the time he finished high school, he would have been one of the cool kids, while in the beginning he did come off as kind of a dork.
To Kevin, the strongman. Thanks, Johnny's, but can I talk to you a second?
Well, I'm kind of busy right now.
Thanks.
Tara, played by Jill Setter. Tara's character kind of reminds me of ZZ from Salute Your Shorts, as she is very in tune with the environment and preserving the Earth. So it's no wonder she left the show at season 3 to go live in a biodome. This totally fits with her character.
You know, Alex, instead of just treating the pimple, maybe you should start treating the lifestyle that caused the pimple. By reducing the fried foods in your diet and meditating, I think that...
And Walter, played wonderfully by Rick Galloway. Walter was kind of the doof character. He was very much comedy relief and played kind of the dum-dum of the group, as evident by the fact that he got held back while the other students and his friends got to move along.
Something's happening to me. Do I look any different to you?
Walter, you look hideous.
I knew it.
Just like always.
Then we had the new introductions, starting with Erin, played by Erin Waring. I can't quite put my finger on it, but this actress looks quite familiar. She was a fun addition to the show and brought more of a sense of realism and less of a these kids are barely able to act sense to the program. Then we had Manny, played by Nicholas Caruso.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, hi, Perry.
On the few episodes I was able to obtain online, I didn't see much of Manny, so I really, unfortunately, don't have a whole lot to say on that one.
Hey, maybe if you asked her really nicely to fall in love with you, or offered her money.
Walter, that's a dumb idea. I don't have any money.
And the last of the students, Erin's brother, Grant, played by Brock Bradley. This character felt quite bland. Basically, he felt to me like the quintessential big man on campus.
I see you found Captain Huggy. Isn't he precious?
Oh, you put this in here? I thought the guys were playing a joke on me.
But the students weren't the only things that helped bring this show to life, because there were a handful of other characters that helped this show move along. Starting off with one of my favorite characters, Elliot Lipman, the principal of the school, played masterfully by Mike Speller. This character would often be irritated with freshmen simply for being freshmen. It seems like he often went out of his way specifically to mess with them in particular. Mr. Lipman also has a dream of becoming a stand-up comedian, a trope we will discuss shortly.
I don't suppose any of you ninth graders had a healthy breakfast? Walter, shoes untied. Gotcha!
Then we had Coach Roach and Coach Rochelle, both played by Tracy Frankel. Coach Roach and Coach Rochelle were basically what every 80s and 90s kid had to deal with in gym class. With an aggressive teaching style and a very gruff demeanor, both of these characters fit perfectly with a stereotypical high school gym coach.
Well, thank you boys for sharing that with me, because that's just what we'll do. Only we'll do it the Coach Roach way.
Miss Topaz, played by Veronica Alessino.
Hey man, might just need a little after-school tutoring if you know what I mean.
Well, don't look now, but I think you've got some competition.
So the freshman says, what do you mean? I changed my underwear last week. Get it? Last week.
The iconic Mr. History, brought to life by Phil Card. Mr. History would show up from time to time to teach the students lessons about history and how things were the same back then as they are now. Again, we'll discuss more on this in a moment.
Now, as everyone knows, Henry himself was a notorious bully, especially to his wives. He even beheaded some of them because they didn't do what he wanted. Jeez, what a grouch.
And finally, Mortis, the safety tortoise, played by Mark Sarto. Much like Mr. History, this character would show up and teach arbitrary safety lessons.
He's Mortis, the safety tortoise. He always plays it safe.
But we'll again discuss that in literally just a second. Because, while we're on the topic of Mortis the Safety Tortoise, let's talk about the sketches that were included in Seasons 1 and 2. Mortis the Safety Tortoise. These segments would feature Mortis the Safety Tortoise, and he would teach the group about various comedic safety tropes.
But remember what Mortis says, play it safe. That fruit might not be what you think it is.
Mr. History. This is a section where the kids would be discussing something between each other, and Mr. History would chime in to explain how kids in the past had to deal with the same thing, comedically explaining how they would deal with their problems from the Stone Age cavemen to 1950s greasers. Mr. History was there with a lesson and a bit of comedy. Homeroom announcements. These were some of my favorites for their corn factor alone. These segments were all about Mr. Lippman, and he would do his duties of delivering the morning announcements. However, afterwards, he would start daydreaming of his life as a stand-up comedian. The problem here is that he always, and I mean always, forgets to turn off the PA, throwing out shade to freshmen all across the school in the process.
So, Freddie, how do you like being a freshman?
Oh, best 8 years of my life.
And what is finally probably my favorite segment from the first 2 seasons, the Mervumentary. These segments were where the character Merv would go out amidst the school and try to get the cold hard facts people want to know. Like, what is school food made of? What certain characters are dealing with? Are you being given too much homework? Is it unfair? From interviews to exposés, the Mervumentary had you covered.
Où est la bibliothèque? A strange French-sounding phrase repeated over and over again until the mind is turned to mush. Why? Who? When? How?
I always used to watch this show when it was on, and it was one of my all-time favorites, which is why it makes me sad that it was lost to time. Maybe we should start a petition to get Nickelodeon to release this series in decent quality for all of us to enjoy, as you cannot get this series on DVD, and as far as I know, you cannot get it digitally or on streaming. And from what is available, 80% of it is terrible quality, missing audio, and really bad video. Now this show was a real gem, and much like Hey Dude, it had its audience. But you guys already know what I think, so now you know, I just have to ask. Were you a fan of Welcome Freshmen? If so, what are some of your favorite moments, sketches, characters, or episodes? Do you have any comments or favorite memories? Did I forget to include something? Maybe you have a suggestion for a future video, or just want to drop in and say hi. Either way, I look forward to hearing from you. And with that, now we only have one Nickelodeon lesson left before we move on to something a little more black and white. Anyway, I've been your host, Bats, and thank you for joining me on School of Boredom Nickelodeon Edition Lesson N112. Welcome Freshmen. High School's Rules. Be sure to check back next time because you never know what we have in store. And as usual, think for yourselves, be excellent to each other, and as usual, keep it creepy. You know what's better than a freshman? Freshman on this show. Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you enjoyed this one and would like to see more of our weird, creepy, odd, eccentric, or strange content as soon as it comes out, please feel free to click like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. We'll see you later. Keep it creepy.